Andromeda got you and now your performance is down and you don't know how to test anymore. Well, in this video I show you concrete examples of how to test and scale post Andromeda and what the best testing structure and the best learning structure is in 2026 and how you want to structure your tests to really get the most scale and best performance out of it. My name is William and I've generated over 50 million in sales for 7 to 9 figure e-commerce brands, and with that being said, let's get straight into the video. So before the Andromeda update, split testing was looking different than now. For example, people would go and split test different creatives, which overall is great. You go and you have a hypothesis, and for example, you think, okay, like this headline appeals to that audience, this headline to this, and this headline to this, and we leave the rest the same, so we have only one variable different, which is the headline, so we can really tell, okay, like if performance is different, it's just about the headline, it's just what we said here versus what we said here, and this is why this performs better. And this is exactly how many brands or most brands did it up until recently. So you would have one ad set, and in this one ad set, you would essentially have 3 different variations of the same ad, and you can already see, okay, it kind of looks the same, only the headline is different. Here one example, here is the first version, right? You have the same image and just one headline, and then the second version would look like this, all right, very similar, and then the next version would look like this. So especially on this account, like this brand used to produce very, very similar ads to each other. Now that is not really effective anymore, because previously it was like, okay, we put this into one ad set, and then based on the performance, based on where the budget flows, let's actually put this to maximum so we see based where the budget flows, we know what actually resonates the most. And we know, okay, well, this is very, very obvious. This version, this headline performs the best. Now, if you go and do the same thing with after the Andromeda update in 2026, then you will usually just get out trash out of it, because those ads, they are so similar that Andromeda just pushes it to the same audience. And it doesn't even consider that the headline is slightly different, but like whatever. It rather looks at the creative format. So the question is, okay, do we stop split testing at all because now we just need creative diversity? This is also claimed by many people. Well, the answer is no, because of course we as humans still need split tests. We need data. We want to learn, okay, what is actually resonating most with our audience, not just random ads in one ad set, because then we can really tell, okay, this ad is performing and this not, but why? If we have a split test like this, we're able to tell, okay, because the headline is different, that's the only thing that is different. So we can learn that, like, okay, this kind of messaging doesn't really resonate, this kind of messaging doesn't really resonate, but this one it does, so we make more ads with this messaging. And now we can't do this anymore, right? At least not as granular. The same thing here. One example of like one old split testing ad set. Here we would have like 3 different ads for the same ad set, and we would just put it into the same ad set. And here you can see, okay, this is the creative, and literally just the headline is different. Okay, so here we have actually different angles. Hate cycling in winter, okay. The best gift a cyclist could get, okay. And then afraid of phone getting wet on winter ride. So 3 different angles, pretty solid, but with the same imagery. And before, a split test like this would be very conclusive. Now, not anymore. Now it's more about creative diversity and what kind of format resonates with what kind of audience. So instead of going and preparing something like this, which is almost the same ad creative, or instead of throwing all different ad creatives into one ad set, because then you can't learn. So you still want to have split testing batches in one ad set, but now instead of just having a headline different or one variable, the variable is actually still the one thing that is different, just one variable, because if the angle and the creative format and everything is different, you can't really conclude, okay, like let's say one of the ads performs better, but one is a video and one is a static ad. Well, maybe the video just did a better job. We can't really learn anything from this, right? Now, instead, we want to broaden the variables. So instead of saying it's just the headline or just the image, we say it's the angle that is the variable that we are testing. Here's a good example of this. So here we have a brand selling gold jewelry that uses actually 24 karat gold. So here is the creative format. It is a product image here with a long form text with a headline. Okay, and the split testing variants look quite similar. But first of all, we implement creative diversity, or like at least like imagery diversity, by having different jewelry here, so different images resonate with different people, and at the same time we hit completely different angles. So not just the headline is different, but the whole ad is different, but at the same time we keep the angle the same. So we try to create kind of the same ad but 3 different variations, and the variations are not just different at the headline level but at the whole like angle. So here we have gold just hit all-time highs, and well, basically sales copy that supports this headline. Then diversify your portfolio, completely different angle, and again copy that supports the headline. And then jewelry stores don't want you to know this. So again, very different angles. So first of all, downplaying competitors, then investing angle, then actually making money through a gold angle. Now to show you another example, here's another one. The overall angle is Black Friday, and we have Black Friday, and that is the main thing, right? This is the constant variable. This is what we're not testing. Now what we're testing is just the visual format here, because here we have an execution like this, then we have an execution like this, looks very different, but again still the Black Friday sale angle, and then we have an execution like this. You can see the visual format is very different. Different visual formats resonate with different people, but the theme of the ad, or like the main variable, which is the sales angle, is the same. Again, here we have the same visual format, that's the constant variable, but what we are testing are different angles, and the whole copy and imagery ideally also reflects that. Now here another example of the jewelry brand. So here we are comparing the jewelry with other competitors or with other alternatives, and that is the common theme. So that is the ad format, that is the common theme. But how do we test this? Well, not just by having different headlines or like different images here, but the headline is different and the image suits the headline. So for example, here we compare it to non-24 karat gold jewelry, and this is not even a ring but a bracelet, and this is a solid comparison because someone who might want to buy a designer jewelry something could get lured into buying actually real gold jewelry and buying something that keeps its value. Now the next variation is actually comparing it to rings, but again here not gold rings. So is your ring just a symbol or an asset? And then the next one, comparing it to luxury watches, which is again a completely different alternative or competitor. But here you can see we have actually like a real split test. The common theme, the variable that's the same again, is the higher level concept, the comparison concept, but we compare it to very different things, and people who buy luxury watches might find this interesting. People who buy rings that are not really worth much because it's just, you know, a brand marking it up might find this interesting. And people who like buy general gold jewelry might find this interesting. So this is the split test here. And this is exactly what the current algorithm and the algorithm after the Andromeda update wants. Real split tests, not just slightly different wording or not just a different background image. And then all of this you just put into an ad set here. And based on the budget distribution, you see what performs best and what resonates the most. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, okay, but what about videos? Well, with videos, you do the exact same thing, but of course, you don't have completely different videos. It's mainly about the hook, because the hook is seen by most people, the rest of the video is seen by the least amount of people, and also the hook determines the targeting and what kind of person actually gets to see the ad. So we want to have a hook split test where we split test an angle or again different alternatives or something else, and that is exactly what the Andromeda update wants, because again, different hooks get shown to different people and that creates real creative diversity. So this whole thing is a social proof mashup video. That's the overall concept. And the body of the video and the CTA of the video is the same, but the hooks are very different. It's not just a different text hook or a different visual hook, it's everything different. So here you can see we have an angle, don't fall for cheap knockoffs.
Don't fall for cheap knockoffs. There's a reason why over 20,000 cyclists love.
So that was the hook, and then now the rest of the video is the same.
Your PSI, hit go, and boom, you're ready to ride in under 2 minutes. Tubeless setup, no problem. Travel friendly and...
Okay, now let's look at the next variant. Here we have hand pumps in 2025. So before we attacked cheap dropshipping alternatives, now we are attacking another alternative, completely different alternative, which is a hand pump.
Hand pumps in 2025? No thanks. There's a reason why over 20,000 cyclists...
And now you can see the video continues in the exact same way. And now the third variant.
Pumping until your arms fall off. There's a reason why over 20,000 cyclists...
So that was again the hand pump. Now you can already see, okay, like the last two alternatives were actually kind of the same. And yes, that is right. So here we had two alternative execution of the hand pump because that is like the main enemy, the main competitor, the main thing that people are still using. The first one was just other cheap products. And this is exactly what you can do with all your other video ads. Now you might be also wondering, okay, but like how many of those like higher level split tests can I actually do? Because we don't want to always split test alternatives. At some point we will know what is the most profitable alternative to compare to, right? Well, this is where we can actually look into higher level creative strategies. So if we look at this graph, posted this on Twitter by the way, you can see the different hierarchies of impact on your ad and what we can actually split test. So first of all, the most important thing is that you can split test what kind of desire in your headline, and then the imagery supporting the headline, not just being the same imagery for each variation, performs the best. So for example, if you sell magnesium, that can be for muscle recovery, that can be for better sleep, that can be for whatever else. So those are different desires, right? So you can have one headline about muscle recovery and then someone in the gym in the background. Then you can have one headline about better sleep and have someone in the bed, and so on. So this is like still the same kind of ad format as in the static ads that I've shown to you right here as the example, but targeting different desires. Then of course you can also target different personas. The headline for someone who's like 80 years old and just wants to, not feel tired after every day, even when he goes for a short walk. The emotional headline for this person will be very different from the headline for the bodybuilder, right? Versus again, the headline for the average gym goer. So again, 3 different headlines, 3 different hooks for video ads you can use, and it will be completely different based on that. Then of course the positioning, the angle, the visuals, the text. The visuals and the text really just support the angle that you're split testing, but in general that is the rule. You want to split test among these, and when it comes to the angle, again, you can split test many different things. The main thing is you keep one variable constant and then one other variable you use for a meaningful split test that actually tells you something, that actually tells you that, hey, like for example, if this ad performs the best, we know that we should target more people that actually buy luxury watches, because maybe we saw that this didn't perform really well, but this performed well. Then we know, okay, like because we only had these variants in the ad set running and Facebook preferred to spend on this one and the audience resonated with this, we know that, hey, like actually, okay, like luxury watch buyers like will probably resonate much more with our ads or like with our angles than just people buying casual rings, because maybe those don't even have enough money to buy pure solid gold rings. And that is why you want to have the same constant variable somewhere and somewhere clear split testing on a higher level, not just a headline or not just an image. Now, if you're actually not familiar how I'm running here ads for Andromeda, check out this video. This is updated for Andromeda and this is exactly how it works. It works excellently for us and it's aligned with the best practices on Meta. Apart from that, if you want someone to go in and create all of this creative strategy and the high-level creatives for you, click the first link in the description, because this is exactly what I do for e-commerce brands. Keep scaling. Bye.